is a charming city in Japan that's not only steeped in history, but is also home to some of the friendliest deer you'll ever meet. Nara is an easy day trip from Osaka or Kyoto. However, Michelle and I explored Nara as a day trip while traveling between Osaka and Kyoto. After checking out of our hotel in Dotonbori, we took a train to Nara from the Namba station in Osaka. The train was about an hour long and the tickets were covered with our rail pass. Otherwise, the cost is about $8 a ticket. We stowed our luggage in lockers at the train station and then made a really dumb mistake picking them back up later in the day. I'll talk more about that craziness later. We had 3 places on our Nara agenda: Nara Park, Todai-ji, and Todai-ji Nigatsu-do. Our first stop was Nara Park, which was an 8-minute bus ride. Entering Nara Park, we were immediately greeted by some of these cute deer. The deer are considered sacred and have become a symbol of Nara. They looked a little mangy while we were there, and that's because they were shedding their winter coats, but they were still cute little creatures. In the summer, their hair is short with little white spots. I thought they would be fenced in somehow, but they really are free to wander the city, even next to busy streets. No need to worry though, because they use crosswalks. It was a clever deer that hung around the stand selling crackers. We bought some rice crackers, and it was like they instantly knew it was snack time. The deer bow as if they're saying, "I'd like some crackers, please." Some of these little guys can be aggressive in their pursuit of snacks. They remind me a little bit of my German Shepherd, using their keen sense of smell and their big ears to detect any food that might be nearby. At one point, Michelle was bit in the thigh, but it wasn't too bad, and we still really enjoyed feeding them. It seemed like the deer near the temples weren't as aggressive, and some were so sweet. Take a look at this pretty girl and her huge eyelashes. Generally, I don't like the exploitation of animals, and I was skeptical of their well-being. But it turns out they live a pretty good life. They're not fenced in, and they enjoy eating greenery at the park and the nearby forest, and of course rice crackers. They do have access to streams and drinking water anytime they'd like. And officials have created areas with barriers where tourists are not allowed, so the deer can get away and relax if they'd like. I also discovered that the crackers are made from a formula of grains specifically made for the deer's diet. Although Nara's primary tourist draw is the cute deer, Nara also holds profound significance in history as Japan's capital city from the year 710 to 794 CE. Having said that, our next stop was the historic Todai-ji Temple. The walk to the temple from Nara Park is only a few minutes. Before getting to the temple grounds, you walk through a huge south gate with gigantic doors that are shut at closing time. The current south gate was constructed in the 11th century after the original one was damaged in a typhoon. The original Buddha Hall was constructed in the 8th century. After a fire, the current building was completed in 1709. The current structure is huge, but it's actually 30% smaller than the original construction in the 8th century. The Buddha Hall houses the gigantic Great Buddha. The Great Buddha was built in 752, and it was the largest bronze Buddha in the world. And at 50 feet tall, it still is today. I was awestruck by the size of this Buddha, and I was not able to convey the sheer size with my video. And the same holds true for all the other statues in this massive building. found it interesting that the grounds were created as a large open space, when many temple complexes use open spaces for meticulous gardens and ponds. After visiting Todai-ji Temple, we made our way to the Todai-ji Nigatsu-do Temple. It was later in the evening, so there weren't many people around, which I absolutely love. I really liked the giant bell tower. It soared into the air super conspicuously. This bell tower was constructed in 1207, and the bell itself weighs 58,000 pounds. I would love to see what it looked like installing that 58,000 pound bell in the 13th century. I would also love to hear that bell properly ring like they did way back in the 13th century. It probably sounds incredible. So we were getting hungry, and we headed back to the train station. Went to find our luggage, and it wasn't there. We went through 3 different floors in that train station thoroughly, and we did find some luggage lockers, but just not the ones that our luggage was in. I was so confused, and after about 4 or 5 minutes of my confusion, I decided to look on Google Maps, and I saw that there was 3 different train stations in Nara. And that's something I never even considered because Nara is not a very big city, but I guess there's 3. So one of them was a JR station, and we used a Japan Rail Pass to get to Nara, so we figured that was probably the right station. We went there, and luckily we found our luggage lockers and our luggage, and we're quickly on our way to Kyoto. We really enjoyed our time in Nara, and as a significantly historic city, there's a lot more to see there that we didn't see. And because of that, I think 2 days in Nara would be the right fit, even though it's popular as a day trip kind of place. And maybe someday we'll go again.